Hi there folks, it's Glenn from Money Rider. I had hoped to try and get all the lads around the table to do another video, this time for the Aintree meeting as the jump season comes to a close. Unfortunately, that was just proving too difficult and I was unable to get everybody, on the same page on the same day. So I've asked the lads for some selections for the three main races at the meeting, which is the Aintree Bowl, the Aintee Hurdle, and then of course the big one, the Grand National. We start with the bowl, of course. Our friends at Unibet have got the betting at the moment of Shishkin at 2-1, Conflated at 3-1, Hoy Senior at 3-1, and Bravesman Game at 3-1. And then you've got Aplutard at 7-2, and Protectorat at 10-1, and then of course the rest are bigger prices. It's obviously, you could see why Shishkin is favourite, I suppose, because after winning and then going on to the step up and trip at the festival, everybody sort of thought maybe he might be back with a bang. Unfortunately, he didn't win that race, which I know Mark had hoped for, and I know I was hoping he would have won. And it wasn't particularly very fluid run. He was a bit hit and miss. He jumped right a bit, and it just was a bit untidy. But like I say, still did manage second. Conflated then comes next at 3-1. What can you really say about him? He's hit the bar quite a few times. He's been very consistent. He's taken on a longer trip a few times. A couple of times, I think, at Leopardstown. And he did have a crack at the Gold Cup, but obviously he was up against Galloping Des Obeaux, so that was a bit of a hide into nothing, wasn't it? And then, of course, he still had to beat Bravesman Game in that as well, who we know run very well. So he comes in sort of second at 3-1. Ahoy Senior and then Bravesman Game, as I just mentioned, are the next at 3-1 as well. So they sort of the next two options. Ahoy Senior's on a bit of a comeback trail, isn't he? I won the Cotswold Trials and then again took another punt at the Gold Cup. A bit of a dark horse for some people, but again, same as the others, ran into Galloping Des Obeaux, and there was really ever going to be one winner in my opinion. But Bravesman Game for me jumped very well. Didn't disgrace himself in any way, shape or form. It was a valiant effort against an amazing horse for Willie Mullins. So on that basis, I'm going to, providing it hasn't taken too much out of him, which according to the reports from Paul Nicholls it didn't. Bravesman Game is going to be my selection for the Betway Bowl. I don't know what the other lads are going to go for, whether they'll see it the same way as me. Aplutard, up until about 2022, looked like he had the world at his feet, didn't he? And then pulled up and just sort of fell off the cliff. Hard to fancy in my opinion. Protectorat always runs a solid race, places in a lot of his races. At 10-1 could be a nice price, but I do believe this is Bravesman Game's for the taking personally, providing, as I say, he jumps as well as he normally does. It doesn't get too soft, and obviously no ill effects from a stellar effort in the Gold Cup. But I don't know who everybody's going to fancy, so let's see who Jamie fancy.
Hiya, these are my selections for the Aintree races, for the Aintree Hurdle, the Aintree Bowl and the Aintree Grand National. The first one for the Aintree Bowl. I've gone for Ahoy Senior for this particular race. Very unfortunate when he was, he was leading into the race, and unexpectedly he fell back in the lead 3 or 4 fences out last time out. I thought he was running really well considering, and also he was jumping very well, and he was jumping in a very good rhythm, and he was just unexpectedly he fell. I think he'll be winning back onto his own backyard at Aintree, where he's won before, and also I think I'm sure that the trainer will give him plenty of confidence, plenty of schooling for this particular race, and for this for the Aintree Bowl. I think Bravesman Game, if he does run, I think it might be the race would be too hard for him, because he ran a very good race at March in the Gold Cup, and I think the same with Aplutard. Aplutard needs to have a fact-finding mission, and Shishkin, well, I think he'll run well, but I would imagine he'll finish second. I'm going against him this time. But for me, it's a high senior for the Aintree Bowl.
So let's see who Mark fancies.
Good evening, everyone. Mark from the Money Rider team. And as you can see, I'm doing a separate filming for you today, as we've been unable to get together to give a couple of selections. You know how it is, everyone. We all get busy. But Glenn, the maestro, has challenged us with a few selections for some of the races over the 3-day meet that kicks off next week. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to talk about the Aintree Bowl. This is a very interesting race, which is headed at the market by Shishkin, trained by Nicky Henderson, at the current price of 7-4. Was a little bit disappointed with his performance at the Cheltenham Festival after being ups in trip. And I just think that he's too short for me of a price. So I'm steering away from Shishkin, and I'm going to take him on, and I'm going to go for Brave Man's Game. Current 3-1 price on Bet365, trained by Paul Nicholls. I was very impressed with him. You know, he was a King George winner, done really, really well, has gone on leaps and bounds since then, and I thought he ran a cracking race, finishing second in the Gold Cup to the eventual winner, Galopin des Champs. I think Paul Nicholls has got a real top quality horse on his hands here, and I think that he could run a very, very good race. It was disappointing last year, finishing 4th of 4 runners, but I think since then, he's become a much better horse. And I will take you on, Jamie. I think a Hoy Signor is another good selection in there that he's picked. You've got Conflated in there, and Envoy Allen, who's a massive 10-1 shot who defied the odds, winning at the festival as well. But for me, this race, I think will go to Paul Nicholls and Brave Man's Game. So that is my selection for the Aintree Bowl.
Okay, fine. That's those 3 selected. Let's have a look at the Aintee Hurdle. Obviously, it's really only one winner, isn't it? It's the monster, or the British monster, that is Constitution Hill. I can't really say too much, can I? He's turned up at every single race, and he's performed at every single race asked of him so far. So I think it's quite straightforward. Of course, you've got some other runners in there at the moment. But they are really only fighting out for the places. But if we're trying to pick the winner, surely it's only Constitution Hill. But let's just see if the lads agree or disagree. I think I know what they'll say. Mark?
Okay, folks, here we are again for the next race that we're going to talk about, and it's going to be the Aintree Hurdle. And I think it's safe to say that there's only one horse that we can talk about in this race, and this is the one that I'm getting mostly excited about, Constitution Hill. I mean, what can you say about this freak of nature, the horse that, to me, will never be beaten? And, you know, he goes into this race with 6 straight wins, and, you know, he's just an absolutely phenomenal specimen, and I absolutely enjoy watching him, and I will enjoy watching him at the meet next week. You know, he went into the Cheltenham Festival in the Champion Hurdle, probably with his biggest test to date in State Man by Willie Mullins. But what he done, winning by, it was down as under 10 lengths, but I assure you it was more than 10 lengths in that race. His least length win. But I still think that there is much more to come in this race. Question marks and as to what will happen with Constitution Hill potentially after this race. Will he go chasing? Nicky Henderson always keeps his cards close to his chest, so it will be very interesting to see where he goes with this one. But Constitution Hill, everyone, this is a horse in the making. I think he wins the Aintree Hurdle, no disrespect to any of the other horses, but you're looking at a good 10 length plus victory for him. And like I said, it will be a cracking way to end his season. And then we'll see how it progresses and where he goes next year. So for me, the Aintree Hurdle goes to the one and only Constitution Hill.
Well, I think there was no doubt Mark was going to select Constitution Hill, don't you? And I think it'll be the hat trick with Jamie. Jamie, anything to add?
Right, the next race is the Aintree Hurdle, 2 miles 2 furlongs, and for me it has to be Constitution Hill. He was absolutely fantastic, winning in the Champion Hurdle. That was I was there moment. The way he was pinging over the hurdles. Be interesting how he copes the upping trip with 2 miles 4. I don't think that will be an absolute problem for him. I do believe I reckon this could be the last time we'll see him over hurdles, which is unfortunate. I would like to see him win so many champion hurdles in his career and try and beat the Istabrack record, but we know that he's to me he's a freak. He's another Frankel, but another Frankel over the national hunt sphere. The Blue Brazil size are just really very impressive, and Constitution Hill for me for the Aintree Hurdle. I can't really talk but more because he's just a phenomenal horse, and we was very lucky to watch him at Cheltenham and winning the Champion Hurdle. So no contest for me. It's the Constitution Hill for the Aintree Hurdle.
Right, so that brings us on to the big race of the meeting, the Grand National, the one everybody wants to talk about. Let's have a quick look at the betting. With our friends Unibet, you got Corach Rambo at 5-1, then Noble Yeats at 8-1, Dog to Work at 9-1, Gillard de Menesil at 11-1, Any Second Now at 12-1. That being the top sort of 4 or 5. Corach Rambo obviously won very well at the festival, winning the Ultima. Came from about 5th, 2 out or 1 out. I think, well, I backed him on course, and I know some of the other lads with me that did. I think we'd all actually given up on him, to be fair, but did steam through him and really drive up that hill to win. So you can understand why they've installed him as favourite. Next is, I'll say Noble Yeats, last year's winner. Looking to emulate Tiger Roll with back-to-back Grand Nationals. We know how difficult that is. It's not done that often. It always looks like it's been the target for the stable. Same sort of prep run, just a couple of runs. Did have a stab at the Gold Cup, respectable 4th, but again that was behind the absolute monster that is Galloping des Champs. We really, if you went on what you'd seen with your own 2 eyes, there was only ever going to be one winner really. But of course, you never know, anything can happen. So the prep run's been exactly the same. So they're obviously hoping for maybe a rinse and repeat performance. Next you've got Delta Work. I think it's going to be quite a few people's fancies after creating a bit of history himself, winning back-to-back cross countries just like Tiger Roll did. Was 3rd in it in 2022 behind Any Second Now and Noble Yeats, but looking to go 1 better, well technically 2 better. I think he might just do it this year. I think gone into it again with another win, and another year older on his competitors. He rallied really well up the hill to see off Galvin, so I can see him winning it myself. On that note, I suppose I should mention Galvin. I've always been a bit of a Galvin fan. He did seem to obviously lose his way, didn't he, Galvin? After fantastic run of about 7 wins up until about the Gold Cup, I think in 2022, when he really sort of disappointed me. I think he could belie 20-1 odds, especially given if that run at the festival has rekindled the old spark. He'd done really well in that race. So I think of the prices, or the bigger prices, Galvin at 20-1 makes most sense to me. I'm sure people will have their dark horses who they fancy, but I think my actual selection would be Delta Work, and then a second selection would be Galvin 20-1. Even if it's an each way, I think he's got a shout. So who does Mark and Jamie fancy? Let's see who Mark fancies.
Here I am again, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the race that we've all been waiting for. The Randox Health Grand National, over 4 miles of intense thrilling racing. Over 30 fences and 40 horses will go to post on Saturday, the 15th of April at around 5:15. I'm excited. I hope you are. This is a race where we can all say, you know, you get your tipsters and you get your people giving their selections, but this is like a lottery. You know, this is like grabbing your hand in there, picking out the winning number and hoping for the best. But here we go. I'm going to give it my best shot and see. And I can't help but look at the top of the market in this race and look at the top 4 horses in the market. Corach Rambler at 6-1, who won in convincing fashion at the Cheltenham Festival. Last year's winner, Noble Yeats, at a massive price of 50-1 for Sam Will and Cohen, goes in at 8-1. You've got Delta Work, who won the cross country for the 2nd year in a row at 10-1. And then you've got Any Second Now, who is a 12-1 shot. Galvin's in there, and you know, a few other top quality horses and other ones that have ran previous races. But for me in this one, I really think it's going to be a battle for first and second, what it was last year, for Any Second Now and Noble Yeats. I was there last year for my first ever Grand National on my stag do, believe it or not, and I actually went with Any Second Now, which I thought for a point was going to win the race, but Noble Yeats came really, really well, and finishing 4th in the Gold Cup, I think was a very, very good prep run for him, and I think that he's going to come into the National and really be up for this. And Any Second Now winning on his return to try and win this race. 3rd 2 years ago, 2nd last year. You'd like to think Any Second Now will take that next step ahead to win this race. It's a massive race. We all know how the Grand National can end up. There's false starts, there's horses falling, there's controversy all over this race. But I can't help but look, in a race this big, I can't help but look at the horses at the top of the market. And for me, if I'm to pick a selection for this one, I think Noble Yeats could go and win a 2nd Grand National. He was very good for me in the Gold Cup. You know, it was all meant to be for Galopin Des Champs, but I think to finish off really strongly and finish 4th in the Gold Cup, I think it was a very good prep run. I think the trainer would be very happy with how he won that race. So for me, the Randox Health Grand National, and to end a very exciting, thrilling jump season, goes for me, Noble Yeats, and a place finish for Any Second Now.
So there we go. Mark's going with last year's winner, Noble Yeats, looking to repeat. What about you, Jamie? Who do you like?
So here it is, the Aintree Grand National. All these iconic fences. You've got the Chair, Beecher's Brook, Forehaven, Valentine's, and I think the water jump as well, which is in front of the grandstands. My selection is Lifetime Ambition, a 28-1 each way selection, trained by Jessica Harrington. Lifetime Ambition has run at the Aintree fencing, so he's got plenty of experience over the big obstacles. He ran in the Grand Sefton, which is a 2 mile 5 furlong race, and finished 4th place, which is a good run. Also, he's running 3 mile races, and he's got good form in them particular in particular races in Ireland. It's also be a great tonic for Jessica Harrington to get a winner. She did have a runner in the Grand National before last time, and that was Magic of Light, and I think Magic of Light finished in the top 4. I think I do believe, if my memory serves you right, I think it was either 3rd or 2nd. It'd be a great tonic for Jessica Harrington anyway. Great trainer, great dual purpose trainer, and also she's battling cancer, so it'd be a great tonic for her. And that's my selection, number 1, Lifetime Ambition, for Jessica Harrington for the Grand National. My second selection for the iconic race for the Aintree Grand National, and my second selection is Longhouse Poet, trained by Martin Brazil. It's roughly about 14-1 for the race. Longhouse Poet is running the Grand National before. He ran last year, where he finished 6th place. Hoping he will go a lot better this time. hopefully he'll win really, but I'm hoping he'll be better than 6th place. He's his last run, he's where he won at Down Royal, in a which was really a prep race for him for the Aintree race, and he did it very well, and he won the Bluegrass Stand Chase, 3 miles plus. And I'm sure the Grand on the soft side, especially with the unsettled weather we'll be having leading up to the Grand National, I think that will suit him. He's run on soft, he's run on good to soft, he's run on yielding and also on heavy. So I'm hoping that it'll be on the good to soft side. So I'm hoping that it'll do well. Longhouse Poet, leading up to the big race, and it's another each way selection for me for the Grand National.
There we go. Jamie has given us some bigger prices. Lifetime Ambition and Longhouse Poet are his fancies for the Grand National. Maybe there is a big price we've missed. If we have, and you think you've seen it, then obviously share the knowledge and let us all know. Comment down below, and we'll see you again for another video shortly. Take care, folks.